as you know, is the education side of the BOMA International and BOMI merge. So we offer all of the courses, and my specific job as a business development manager is to work with all the local associations and help them get their education programs set up and get their learners, answer any questions that they may have, and just provide the best educational foundation that we can give them. So with that said, thank you for having me today, and I'm going to do a PowerPoint presentation just to show the value of the RPA, FMA, and SMA education in the commercial real estate industry. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and we will get to it. So as you know, BOMI, or as many of you, most of you know, who have already been taking classes, and those of you who are interested in taking classes, again, BOMI is the one-stop shop for your education in the commercial real estate industry. We are the one source for property, facility, and engineering education. We are literally, BOMI's, we're world-renowned professional education programs that make perfect business sense. Our industry standard designations ensure that the property and facility professionals have the critical knowledge and skills on a daily basis that is needed for both personal and organizational success. We have had over 400,000 courses taken, over 43,000 plus credentials earned. Now, based on surveys from our learners and folks in the industry, you don't just have to take our word for it. The BOMI Learner Survey says it all. 99% say that they've improved their subject matter knowledge by taking our classes. 97% have improved their job performance and overall career based on having taken classes and acquiring their certification and or their designations. 94% say BOMI programs met or exceeded their expectations. And 99% say that they would definitely recommend our BOMI programs to a colleague in the industry. Now, the BOMI difference is amongst other educational realms out there. We are literally the only organization that does offer education in property, facility, and building management, all of the above. And we offer the education in a distinct career path for all employees and employers, of which I'll show you a little bit down a few slides. But it's based on a stackable credential building matter. And basically, some of the courses will count for each designation or 2 designations, and you can stack upon that to achieve 1 to 2, if not 3 designations, and not have to be redundant in the course curriculum. The program content is developed and delivered by professionals in the industry. We have subject matter experts across the board who help create the content and the curriculum in our textbooks and the entire curriculum for our courses. And our programs also, they help to increase teamwork, efficiency, client satisfaction, cost savings overall, and employee retention. I always feel and always say that, having the knowledge and the education from our BOMI curriculum, the guys can be and gals can be more proactive when running a building rather than reactive. It just gives you that knowledge and the edge to be able to maintain a very well-oiled machine, if you want to say it in that matter. But we have more than 50 years of experience in training building engineers, property, facility managers. And another mantra that I always like to say is learn more, earn more. And again, this is based on a graduate survey and the Bureau of Labor Statistics report. RPAs earn more. Our RPAs earn more than twice the base salary than an average property manager salary at 114%. RPAs get raises. 64% or 2/3 of those earning a raise receive their raise within a year of achieving their RPA. RPAs get promoted at 42%. Almost half of those receiving a promotion earned their promotion within a year of achieving their RPA or designations. At 53%, RPAs climb the ladder. So more than half of the RPAs hold senior management positions with titles such as a CEO, COO, president, principal owner, EVP, VP, regional, senior, or director. And again, this is based on statistics. We're working on the updated, but from 2021. But we have done nothing but go higher up on these statistics since then. So as I mentioned before, our areas of expertise fall along the lines of property management, facility management, systems management, and sustainability. And our clients range anywhere from property and facility management companies, federal and local governments, healthcare, hospitals, senior living facilities, and of course, what's out there in the industry now are the research buildings and that sort of thing in the healthcare industry, industrial complexes, associations, banks, insurance companies, education, which includes your K through 12 schools, districts, school districts, colleges, and universities. Hospitality, we have hotels, theme parks, and sports complexes that a lot of our folks will run the buildings in an efficient manner. And they also will put their employees through the program so that they can do so diligently. And again, this is one of our testimonials from an RPA graduate, Daniel, who says, the knowledge that he has gained as a result of his BOMI education has propelled him to advance his career path in all new levels. The lessons have helped him understand his career better, as well as be more productive. And of course, we have some in-person testimonials that we're going to introduce you to at the end of the slideshow to give you that added touch as well. And what I wanted to emphasize too here is the career paths based on our stackable credentials. So you can basically start with a course, earn a certificate in one of our programs with just 2 additional courses, and then take the journey on to achieve your designation with 5 additional courses and a capstone exam. And then, of course, as most other careers in the industry, you do maintain it as continuing education throughout the years after you would graduate. And here's a breakdown of that. And I love the way that they break this down, is that they show, again, you take a course, which is one of our, in the designation program, there are 8 courses that are actually required to achieve your RPA, your FMA, or your SMA, your systems maintenance. And this is the way we have it broken down. And we did it so that you could, along that journey, take 3 of the classes that are required in the 8 and get your certificate along the way. And you can use that. You get the badging, which you can use on your profiles, your LinkedIn profiles, your resumes, this, however you want to use it. But it will basically, we go through Credly, and the badging is such that you can use it behind your name, and a potential employer can not just see that you've acquired the PAC, the Property Administrator Certificate, they can click on it and literally see the content of each of these courses and what it entails and what you've learned to get your PAC or your PMFP, your Property Management Financial Proficiency Certificate. And then as you move forward and you take the other 5 requirements, you will then acquire your RPA. So again, you'll get a badge for that. and take it from there. Now, I always also like to emphasize to those new in the industry and considering jumping into acquiring your designation and your certificates. Also think about what you've already accomplished. We have competency programs, whether it's a CPM or you've taken a budgeting and accounting class in college. We have a competency program that allows you to complete all of the forms and the information and submit that and literally tie that in to getting your RPA. So you literally could come out with your competency of what you've already accomplished and may only need 3-4 other courses to complete the entire program. So we like to let everyone know that. And for more information at the end, you can reach out to myself or Tiara on that. Now, taking it to the next step, the same similar program we offer to facilities management persons. So the FMA designation, again, we have Samuel doing his testimony, but we have some live folks towards the end. He's saying that the principles of building management has broadened his functional capabilities. As a result, he's been able to confidently assert himself in more of a leadership role. So we always like to hear that, because if you know, you know, and because we're so highly thought of in the industry as an education entity, people who are looking for those new employers and such, they're going to choose someone with a designation from BOMI and a BOMA affiliation over someone who doesn't have it. So the same similar pathway for the FMA, you're going to start with a course. You could take 2 additional courses, and then with the 5 others and the capstone exam, you will earn your FMC for your certificate. And then with the other courses, acquire your FMA. And again, if you had some other things to provide as competency, that will go under review, and you may be able to comp out of some other of these requirements. And then, of course, the third designation that we offer is the systems management. And we have, of course, here Joe, who is our testimony, saying that utilizing BOMI education had helped him reach his goal of becoming a chief engineer. And he found it to be so useful that he recommended all of his engineers to begin the SMT courses and have noticed great improvements. And same similar path and stackable credential goes just the same for the SMA. You will start with a course and take 2, and then take the additional courses to acquire the SMA. And here it's broken down just a tad bit different, because we do offer a certificate for 3 classes. The BEC is the Building Energy Certificate, and the SMC is the Building Systems Maintenance Certificate, of which you can see are very similar. So of course they'd be stackable if you end up taking and continuing on towards the SMA and the SMT. You will have all of those certificates and badging and the ability to use those behind your name and have them as your credentials. So as you can see, these are the more hands-on for the engineers, the air handling, electrical energy, with the boilers and refrigeration. And then as you go on to the more administrative side, it will take you to managing your organization, environmental health and safety, and building design and maintenance. So again, it's a stackable program that allows you to have accomplishments along the way, and the ability to use this knowledge hands-on on a day-to-day basis for your job, as you're actually going towards your RPA, FMA, or SMA. And this is where I'm going to turn it back over to Tiara, because again, working with the local associations, I work with Tiara to help her get all the classes and courses set up for the New York location. And she wants to talk to you guys about the scholarships that they have to offer as you're going towards your designation and certificate program.
Thank you, Tindy. So as you guys may have already seen emails from me, information, all of that. Tindy, can you put that slide back up there actually?
I'm sorry.
So no worries. So the BOMA New York 2025 scholarship program is still accepting applications. So if you yourself would like to apply, you can still do so. Or if somebody you know at your company or somebody that you know wants to get a designation, encourage them to apply because it does cover an entire designation, either for your RPA or your FMA. And that's more than $10,000 worth of coursework that is covered completely by the scholarship program. So in order to apply, even if you're not a current member of BOMA New York, you can still apply, and you'll just need to become a member within a month of accepting and receiving the scholarship if chosen. But in order to apply, you complete the application, you'll submit a letter of recommendation from your employer, and you'll also send over an essay telling us why you should be chosen. From there, you'll sit with our scholarship committee for about a 10 to 15-minute interview, sharing a little bit more about your career goals and what you hope to accomplish. So if you have any questions about the scholarship, please let me know. I'll send over the brochure and the application to everyone who's on this call. And with that, I'll hand it over to James so he can share a little bit more with our speakers and ask a few questions. If you have any questions for myself or Tindy, you can drop them in the chat.
Thank you, Tiara, and thank you, Tindy, for the informative presentation. Appreciate you joining us today. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm James Kelly, as Tiara mentioned early on in the presentation. I'm an assistant property manager with the Durst organization, also a member of BOMA New York and on the Emerging Leaders Committee. So first, I'd just like to introduce a few people and just speak about their experience getting their RPA designation. So I'm going to start with Pat Dolan on the call. I don't think he needs an introduction here, but I'll do it anyway. So Pat is a senior property manager with the Durst organization as well, and also the chair of BOMA New York. Pat's an RPA holder, and I'm just going to prompt a few questions, and Pat, hope you can add to them.
Yeah.
So the questions I have, Pat, are: what encouraged you to go for your RPA? And how is it obtaining your RPA helped enhance your career?
Sure. So at the time when I was working for a previous employer, it was widely accepted that all property managers would come into BOMA, New York, and that we would pursue the RPA designation. It was encouraged, it was supported, and at times it was demanded. I mean, every year I would have my performance review, and I always knew this was coming. It's like, where do you stand on your RPA? How many courses do you need to still take? You know, what have you learned this year? All this kind of thing. So it was something that it was really strongly encouraged within the company. And myself and all of my colleagues at that time, we all became RPAs. You know, I think at that time, the designation, and I think even to this day, the designation, you know, really means something. It means something to our peers in the industry. It's obviously not easy to get in the sense that, you know, you have to apply yourself, you have to put in the time, you have to take the coursework, but it's really rewarding. From my perspective, it put me in line for some really challenging assignments that I got over maybe another colleague. It definitely, between my experience and the coursework that I learned, it helped me really prepare the skill sets needed to take on these demanding jobs of running these high-rise office buildings in New York City. So I think, you know, then to now, being an RPA has been fabulous for my career.
Thank you, Pat. Appreciate that. Next, I'd like to introduce Jeremiah McGinley on the call. So Jeremiah is chief engineer with George Comfort and Sons, also nominee for Chief Engineer of the Year through the BOMA Pinnacle Awards. Jeremiah is a RPA scholarship holder, and so I just want to prompt the following questions to Jeremiah. What encouraged you to apply for the BOMA New York scholarship, and how do you think the BOMI classes to this point have helped you in your career?
Thank you, James, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. So I had obtained the SMT and SMA for which is the engineering side of the classes through Local 94 previously. And I was always a continual learner. I always liked learning. I didn't like not knowing things. So for me, the RPA was really the next step of where I could learn and grow my knowledge base, and also learn the management side of the business, because I did take management in college, so I was always intrigued by that. I think that answered your question, right? So, and then I think the classes have really helped in a few ways, because now I'm on my third. I'm gonna have my third designation pretty soon. I think it definitely helps your resume stand out, especially when there's a big pile and everything's very competitive. On top of the SMT and SMA, I think the RPA is specifically, it's going to help me because I come from the other side of the industry, right? The back of the house. So I don't always have the experience that the property management teams have. And I know what's in my world, what's in my realm. But I feel like a lot of these classes that I'm taking for the RPA are really they've expanded my knowledge base of really what the property management team does. And since I know that, I have a taste of it, I could really try to anticipate what they're going to need from me, and essentially be a better employee and team member for them. So.
Thank you, Jeremiah. I would also just like to add a little bit about my experience for the group. So I am also getting my RPA designation. Currently undergoing the coursework right now. Unfortunately, I'm not an RPA scholarship holder. I actually didn't apply because I came into the industry in 2022 and was advised very early on to start the coursework. I didn't even know there was such thing as a scholarship. So I jumped right into it with no experience, no knowledge about commercial real estate. So I wanted to start the coursework as soon as I could to try and get some knowledge on what I was doing day to day. So I can offer a little bit about the courses I've taken so far. I've taken 4 out of the 8 required courses for RPA, and I'm on my 5th one right now. I'm taking the design and operations course, number 1. I've taken the ethics course, law and risk management, environmental health and safety, and budgeting and accounting. So my experience so far with the course has been all online, self-paced. I'm also, which is very helpful, right? So you can take your RPA courses in person, or actually, Tiara, are they still doing them in person? Or are they all online?
So they're not in person currently, but we hold them as live virtual learnings is what we call them. So it would be like this: do them over Zoom with a live instructor and your peers on the call. Or as James has mentioned, he takes them as self-paced online courses. So think your LinkedIn Learning, your static online course. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, I'm doing them self-paced right now, which is, for many of us, we have a lot of responsibilities. The self-paced option is great. Typically, each course you have 6 months to complete that course, and at the end of the course, there's a 100-question multiple choice test that you take online in order to get your certificate for that course to move on throughout the program. Like I said, I've done ethics, law and risk management, environmental health and safety, and budgeting and accounting. So just for some insight, coming into the industry and being brand new, I didn't know anything about, for instance, the law and risk management course. I didn't even know what a certificate of insurance was when I got into the industry. So jumping into that course, they broke it down really well, in very simple terms, so that day to day, as I'm looking at COIs and I'm going back and forth with tenants, I kind of have a general idea of what I'm looking at and can know to ask the right questions. And also gave me a foundation for some of the legal principles that we have a legal department here at the Durst organization. But again, before I would reach out to the legal department, I was able to have a basic understanding of what questions I was being asked. The environmental health and safety course was also helpful. My building that I'm currently at right now is undergoing a refinancing. So
the bank is sending a number of inspectors out to our building to make sure that before they refinance our building, that we're doing things the right way. So we had a environmental health assessment here at the building, and I had actually just finished my environmental health and safety course. So before they got out here, I kind of had some understanding about what they were coming out to do, what they're going to be looking for. Definitely not an expert by any stretch, but that was very helpful to have that baseline knowledge. And
James,
then-
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, please go ahead.
I could speak about I've done both the virtual learning as well as the self-paced. So I could speak a little bit about the virtual learning. I think I've done both. I think they're both great, and it really depends on your personality. It's great. What I enjoy about the virtual learning is to have people, real world people who are there, who are either doing it or have done it previously in the past, and hearing the stories. Having other people in the class bring up what's happening at their location, what they've gone through. I think that's really great to help if you're not necessarily just a book reader, just a book person, to really help hit home and connect the dots about these topics. They're both great in their own regard, but it's nice to have the flexibility to do one or the other. And again, on my scholarship this go around, I've done both. I'm doing asset management right now, which is in person, and a few of the other courses I've done self-study. So
Great. Yeah, no, thank you for adding that. I think at this point, are there any questions from the group? Anything anybody would like to add? Or any questions for the larger group about the coursework? I think we have some questions coming in here on the side to the chat. Let's see. Is the scholarship open to those that have BOMI certificates, or only to those with no coursework whatsoever?
So it's open to both. So if you have already done some coursework, if you already have a certificate, like James can apply for that scholarship now for his last few classes, anybody can apply. So you are welcome to apply, even if you've already completed some coursework. It'll just cover the rest of the coursework you need to get that designation.
Great. Other questions from the audience? I have a question, so I'm going to ask it. Give people a second to think of any questions they might have. I think this would probably be directed to Tindy.
Okay.
But like I said before, when I got into the industry 3 years ago, I was told RPA, go for your RPA and start it right away. So that's what I did. But just looking through the slides, and I've also done some of my own research on some of the other certificates that are out there, or designations. I saw on earlier slides the CPM as well as the FMA. So I guess my question would be, I know that there are differences and different courses that you have to take to get those designations, and some of them are more intensive than the others. I think that the RPA might be the most intensive and have the most requirements. But what would you, I guess, if you could maybe elaborate more on the differences, and would you recommend that someone, in property management start with their FMA and then work their way up to RPA, or start with their CPM and then go to RPA? How are they different, and what would you recommend?
That's a fantastic question, because we have a lot who do all of the above. But I can tell you, well, the CPM is not through BOMI, but it is a good measurement of like where you might be with the knowledge in the industry. So we do allow that to tie in to get you to where you need to be as a competency form. Now, just like Jeremiah did, we have folks who are on their way to their third designation, because one, they may have started as an engineer, but their accomplishment and their goals are to then oversee engineers and become the facilities manager and manage, a group of engineers in the building. And then their next goal above that, or in addition to, would then be the asset manager, to actually run 20, 30 to 100 buildings, that then they can oversee the FMAs. So it's an accomplishment and a step up, although it doesn't have to be done in that particular order. I have one, I went to a course for SMA, a refrigeration course down in Baltimore, and literally was sitting in on that class. There was someone who was an RPA and going backwards down to take their classes, because they know how to run buildings as an asset manager and, running all that. They want to know all of the below and everything that they can do to make their buildings more efficient, and not just take someone that they've hired's word for it. They want to be out and be going to the HVAC units, the refrigeration units, and, working with the local unions and all of that to be able to hire new people. But they want to know what they're looking for. And so they do it in that aspect. And then you have some who have an experience, like you said, either through a local or, an engineer who, again, wants to actually be in the management level, which that I'd say would be towards the FMA. But one doesn't have to affiliate the other. Usually they're buildable and stackable, because if you do, and I want to pull the slide back up, but with the RPA and the FMA, like your design 1, 2, budgeting and accounting and environmental are requirements for both. It isn't until like the breakdown of the last few courses that it kind of delves out into the more of the facility side or the real property management side. The SMA is a little bit different because you are working towards, more technical aspects of the, like I said, air handling, refrigeration, all of those kind of hands-on building engineer type courses. So one doesn't have to stack on the other, but the way we've designed it is that the knowledge in one can certainly build upon the other. That makes sense, or does that answer your question? I hope. Yeah.
That does. I one more follow up to that. The SMA
Yes.
and SMT, is there any, I know it's more mechanical specific, engineer specific.
Right.
Is there any practical exam, hands-on portion of the exam, or is it all just academic for those two?
Well, I can tell you, it's not so much, it's mostly academic. And a lot of those courses, as like the one I had sat in on, a lot of the SMT and SMA classes are in person, or the engineers prefer them to be in person because of their tactical abilities. They're on a daily basis, working on things and fixing things. The instructor that we had down at Harbor East, he brought in pieces of equipment, and I don't work on HVAC systems or refrigeration systems, but I can tell you, after taking that class, the knowledge of how things worked, you know what I mean? But he showed it physically, and these guys were fabulous. But just being in dealing with learners and working with learners and a lot of the other locals as well, that group of folks, a lot of times like them in person, but like Jeremiah, this particular, like a Zoom with an instructor, having mentors, or even someone with knowledge and peer information that they can share, because, hey, guess what happened in my building yesterday? Oh my gosh, yeah, how did you fix it? That kind of thing. Live virtual courses like BOMA New York has is fantastic for every level. And that's the beauty of what BOMI offers, is that you can take an online course, online self-paced like yourself, James. But then since COVID, we, back in the day, as Pat probably knows, we did everything in person. And whether it was mostly at the local associations, and COVID forced and which is fabulous and fantastic, to create the live virtual learning. So, and it works region specific. Most folks are doing live virtual with an instructor. But also, like Jeremiah said, I with the scholarship, I want to utilize that monies and that scholarship money. So I can take an online self-paced course in between when the next course I have as a requirement's not offered right away. You can combine the types of way that you study and get to your end goal. So that's the beauty of what we offer and what the local association offers. And of course, being a member at the local association is the best bonus of all, because you have your mentorship and the peers with the group, I guess, thought process too, going on building tours and just participating with everyone, as she can tell you. I always
Yeah, and I just wanna
recommend that.
Thank you, Tindy. And the classes, the instructors are actually industry experts. So it's not someone from academia that's teaching these courses, but it's actually someone who's in the industry, who has the experience, who is an RPA holder, and they have other designations, certifications, things like that, that are teaching the classes. And Greg, anyone else also asked about guidance counselors, or who can help guide you along the path to an RPA. That's what I'm here for. I'm happy to help guide you along that path. And when it comes to previous coursework, whether you've taken classes at school and college, if you have certifications from different industries, anything like that, let me know, and I'm happy to help you complete the competency form. So Tindy mentioned we have a competency program, so that kind of eliminates you having to take specific classes. So if you've taken a budgeting and accounting class, that may count towards the RPA budgeting and accounting class. It just depends. So what will happen is you complete a competency form and you decide, okay, based on the coursework you've taken, or maybe you have another certification, like maybe you have a CPM, that applies towards the RPA coursework. So you don't have to take all 8 classes. Maybe it's only 4, maybe it's only 5. So you just complete that form. And then from there, the education team will kind of review that and the coursework you've taken to see what actually applies.
Hello.
Hi, Lucas.
My name is Lucas Omotosho. I would like to just ask a few questions, and there will be 3 questions in one, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, yeah, the first one is, I see you spoke about CPM, but on the other side is CFM, that's Certified Facility Management Certification. Where will that take you in the line of this program? And are there courses that you will be exempted from? That's question 1. Question 2, I want to believe that this specific call is slightly different, is about the RPA. I think is different from becoming a member of BOMA. Because when I went online, I saw you could be an associate member and something partner and all that. I think this is different, right? Or is it the same thing?
Yes. Yeah, so good question. So this is different than becoming a member. This is specifically to talk about the different educational opportunities that BOMA New York and BOMI offers. However, when it comes to becoming a member, I'm happy to share more information directly with you. If you want to drop me a direct message in the chat with your email, I can share that information. And then when talking about the educational opportunities that we have to offer, you don't have to be a member currently to apply for our scholarship, but you will have to become one within a month of receiving a scholarship if you are offered the opportunity. So, and then to answer your question about the CFM, so completing that competency form will give you more of an idea of what courses you will not have to take if you decide to go for, let's say, your FMA. So what would happen is you complete that form, you'll share a little bit about the coursework you've already completed, and then the educational team will review that to see what qualifies and what classes that would eliminate for you.
Oh, thank you. That's very, very great. And the last part of the question is about the scholarship. I see you say if you want to apply for the scholarship, you have to fill out the form and you have your employer sign an attestation. For instance, if you are the owner of a principal, a partner of the company.
So in that case, you could have a letter of recommendation from your peer, but someone at the company would need to write a letter of recommendation for you on company letterhead. So of course you wouldn't write it for yourself, but you can have a peer, a boss, anyone like that, write the letter of recommendation for you at your company.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Thank you.
And any other questions from the group?
Hey, everybody. I have a question regarding the capstone exam. So I'm also an RPA candidate, thinking maybe a couple steps ahead. So I'm sorry if this throws off the momentum, but just was curious about if there are any resources for exam preparation. So I understand it's a cumulative exam. I'm not really familiar with what's out there for that, or if anybody could speak to sort of the process and available preparation to complete the capstone exam portion of the RPA?
Yeah. So there is an exam prep course that you can take prior to taking the exam. So signing up for that prep course automatically kind of bundles in the exam. So you can take that course and that'll help you prepare. Also reviewing your previous coursework, if you have any of the physical books, kind of going through that information is a good way to prep as well. But if it's been kind of a while since you've taken certain courses, that prep class would be a great opportunity for you to kind of review the coursework before actually sitting for the exam. It is a live proctored exam. So even if you were to do it, virtually, not physically in a classroom, there is still a live proctor. So you cannot use your notes. So it's a great way to a great idea to actually sit and study a bit for the exam. So I would recommend that prep course.
I can add into that as well. I always, another mantra, I always say, don't fear the capstone, because if you know, obviously, you're taking at the end of your designation journey. So the experience in the workplace and your course curriculums will give you that knowledge to be able to accomplish the capstone exam. What they actually, you will not be asked, let's just say, for example, they changed the format to be experience-based. So rather than taking a question from design 1 from that you took 3 years ago in chapter 1, paragraph 3, it will be based on an experience relative to out in the workforce and that sort of thing. So again, if you know, I don't have specific pass fail rates, but I can tell you most everyone who goes through it are highly accomplished enough to be able to pass the capstone. But I think the prep course is a good way if you are having questions or you just aren't sure. It's a great way to understand what the questions might be when you do take it.
Sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have
And
a
there
que-
is information on it on the website too. If you go under education and just go under exams, you'll be able to read a little bit more in depth about it. So when you have time, you can certainly do that. We just launched our new BOMA, International BOMI website, as we are fused into one now. Like I said, we're the education side of the BOMA. So you'll be able to get all of the information on the BOMI education side on that combined website. BOMA.org.
Thank you, Tindy.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the group on the call? All right.
Well, I will share the recording with everyone along with some additional resources. If you have any questions for myself or Tindy, don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you, Tiara, and thank you, Tindy. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks all for joining.
Thank
Have a nice day.
Bye.